live here on a Saturday afternoon, the birthday of the great J.R.R. Tolkien, who I've recently been told on Twitter I am a heretic for watching or reading his books. So I guess apologies for that, for listening to me as a heretic. We'll talk a little bit more about Tolkien and some of his works later with Eric, who actually has a pretty interesting story about that. I also want to say happy birthday to Dad over here next to me. His birthday was yesterday, turned the big 60. We're hoping
Wow.
that our Denver Broncos are going to do the same thing they did when he turned 50, which was win
50,
a Super
yeah.
Bowl. So that's kind of it'll stick in my mind pretty well if they do that on his 50th and 60th birthday.
It's
I
been it's
know,
been
guys,
nice
my
because
camera's freezing. Nothing. Go
we,
ahead,
we
Dad, man.
always we always know what Super Bowl what number the Super Bowl is because it's the same as my birthday. So my first birthday was
Well,
the
it's the reverse for me, Dad. I know your birthday because of the Super Bowl. Yeah,
because the Super
I'm
Bowl.
sorry
That's right.
before that, but
Does this got a zero on it?
yeah, exactly. How old are you now? But no, guys. I again, as you know, I'm sorry for my connection issues. I've really tried everything. We've even tried this new program. I don't know. We'll keep trying new things. I'll try to bribe someone to give us different internet or something, or maybe I'll try Starlink. That actually may be what I try. Eric says I got to move to the U.S. Well, we will. I know. I'm not going to mention it again during the stream because you guys know how it is. But sorry for that. We are going to be joined in about 30 minutes by the Mario Dirksen of NovaSotoWatch.com. And when he comes, we'll obviously talk more about what's happened in the Nova Soto Church over the last year or so, what he expects to happen in the next year. And we might be joined for a few minutes by Mr. Anthony Abate, who I'm curious to get his thoughts on 2025, especially his very manly new Archbishop of New York, which I'm very excited to hear his opinions on him, even if he's a Cubs fan. And but before that, we're going to talk a bit about what we thought happened in 2025. What were the big events that we considered to have shaped the world a little bit? And I guess we do kind of have to start though with what's happening right now, or what happened about 12 hours ago now in Venezuela, where President Trump went in and kidnapped the this dictator president of Venezuela, apparently with no deaths on the American side, which is pretty cool. I don't know. I guess, Dad, maybe I'll ask you. What do you think of this kind of crazy story coming out of Venezuela?
I'm still conflicted on it. I'll be honest, and I think that I'm starting with a knee jerk reaction. I was telling a one of our groups earlier that when after Charlie Kirk's death, I said that I would accept the mainstream narrative, which was that Charlie Kirk was murdered by the furry guy, and until the facts dictated otherwise, and eventually the facts did dictate otherwise, and there's something strange going on. But I think that the mainstream narrative on Venezuela, and so what I'm willing to accept at this point, is that Maduro was literally sending drugs into our country. He was funding our enemies. I think we know for sure that he was basically voted out of office, but just chose to stay in office. Now, granted that's kind of a local thing, but I think that there's a case to be made here that Trump did the right thing. And we talked right before the show that he did it without congressional approval. He did it without a declaration of war, which I think, really kind of puts everybody on alert about Trump, the dictator. And so I think there's a lot to discuss there. But in my opinion, at least at first glance, until proven otherwise, I think he's done the right thing.
Father, how about you? How do you feel about this? I mean, obviously, the morality of war is always questionable. Since this was not necessarily, it doesn't seem like he's starting a war. He actually just went in and got the president, and now pretty much says we're going to run Venezuela until we figure something out. I mean, what's your first gut reaction for this, Father? I guess not as a trained priest, but I mean, what do you feel?
I don't know.
Fair
I mean,
enough.
international law is beyond my wheelhouse of much knowledge of what's the right move. I don't know. I don't like it. Definitely don't like it. And I think the problem is we don't know what's true and what's false. Like what is the narrative and what's yeah. I mean, do we trust the White House? Do we trust the Pentagon? Do we trust the CIA? What motives there are? I who wouldn't be skeptical in 2025 or 2026 now. Who wouldn't be skeptical of, especially after Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya? U.S. doesn't have a good track record. Obviously, I think Trump's a little bit different from Bush, but I don't know what the motivations are. If it is truly that it's because of all the drugs and their coalition with China and others, I mean, it seems like that's legitimate movement. Then that's one side of it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it, but fair. I don't know the alternative. If it is actually, as bad as they are saying, or could be worse. As far
I have seen a lot of the reaction from Venezuela, and it does seem like generally the people are happy about it, and that he was truly a socialist dictator. And I think that seems true. I mean, if you look at the Venezuelan politics in the last 25 years, they're bad. I mean, they're really bad. And people who've moved to America and whatnot, I've seen some of their interviews, and they're saying that it's truly been despotic. And it's something that, does that mean the American president has the right to go in and kidnap him?
I'd say no.
Yeah, that's.
I hate to say, but I mean, it's that country's
slippery slope.
Right. It's that country's problem. I think that for me, at least, because we had a comment up, what, how can you call this just? I think that the one argument, and it may fall, it may not be a good argument by the time all is said and done, is that he was destabilizing our country's national security and doing it by pumping drugs in. And it's like, okay, if that's the case, then I think it's a, at least layman, it's a just cause. But
the act at that point,
what's that?
It's like a defensive act in that sense.
Yeah.
Really. If that's the case. Yeah.
If that's the case, right? And we're on day one here, and there's a lot of truth to be revealed yet.
Well, Eric, I mean, we'll get to you last. Before we do, everyone, please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Please share it now. We plan to have a long show. Again, we're going to have Mario Dirksen joining us in about 25 minutes. We plan to go perhaps 2 hours. We'll see how it goes. Maybe other guests will join us. We're hoping they do. So stay with us. But Eric, I mean, what's your gut reaction?
Yeah, the initial gut reaction, I get a lot of vibes from when we did the Iran nuclear bombings, right? The initial reaction is very negative. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this without an act of war? All that type of thing. But then the Iran nuclear bombing seemed to work, right? It stopped the conflict in the Middle East. Maybe this one will also work. I don't know. Like Dan was saying, the election in Venezuela, he got unelected, right? Or someone else got elected with something like 75% of the vote not that long ago, and he has refused to take office. So from that perspective, okay, I can see us sort of stepping in, but it's also, that's not our problem, right? We're not the world police, or we shouldn't be the world police, right, even though we act like it. So maybe it's the world we live in today. Ends don't justify the means, but I think in Trump's mind they do. And so maybe it works out in the end.
Well, let's keep moving on with that exact thought in mind. So I mean, Trump being one of the big things that happened in 2025, obviously, he was elected in November of 24, but he's been president since January, or last January, I suppose. So about a year into his second term. Dad, I'll go to you again. I mean, no, Dad, I'll save you for last. Dad, you're going to be the most optimistic probably. So I'm going to say Dad for last on this one about Trump.
Start with Eric.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Is there who's going to be more pessimistic? Let's see.
Probably Father. Probably Father.
I'll start. I will start with Father. As the priest here, Father. I mean, just again, this is hard to say. It's hard to just generalize. But I mean, what do you feel for his first year of his second term? Just pro, good or bad? I guess just basically in between.
Question mark. I don't know. It just all depends who you listen to. I'll listen to people talking about one thing or one aspect. Like sometimes I'll listen to the PBD podcast, and they're like very positive, very, very big, looking into the future and what steps are going to come about in the future. And then you turn on like Nick Fuentes or some of these others, and everything is negative. So I don't know. I guess I'm in the middle a little bit. Not sure where in the world we're going, who's really in control or who's really pulling the strings, who's duping who. I don't know. I just don't know. It's just, again, it goes back to the last topic for me is who do we believe and what source of information and what perspective is actually objective, more of the objective reality versus somebody's skewed narrative. I keep my mind open.
Well, and Trump partying with Netanyahu on New Year's Eve, it's just one of those things to me. It's just like, boy, oh boy, I can't spin that positively. I just can't. I don't know how you can possibly, like, if Trump just wants to say, like, yeah, he's misunderstood. He's good and bad. Does some good things, bad things. No, he's like saying he's a hero. He says it over and over. This is like the greatest leader in the world. What are you talking about? The guy's a psychopath. I mean, it's like, come on, Trump, man. That's bad news. Okay, Eric, we'll go to you next. What do you think? Been a year of Trump part 2.
Yeah, it's been a mixed bag. Lots of positives, and honestly, like, most of the positives were early on. So you look at the hot start he had, right? Closing the border, kicking off Doge, removal of all the trans woke stuff, right? There was a lot of good stuff that happened. And then after that, it started getting a little bit sketchy, right? A little infighting happening, which is sort of a natural thing. When he had his, what was it, the Republican nomination, when he kind of had his little party thing and had people from union leaders talking, and he had rock stars and Hulk Hogan and all that. We all had a little podcast, and we're like, this kind of makes us nervous, right? This is kind of a strange turn for Trump and the Republican Party to be taking. It kind of shows that when you're trying to get elected, a coalition like that is much easier to keep together. Once you're in power and now it's time to start acting, that's when all those factions are going to start splitting. So we kind of saw that happen pretty early. So yeah, lots of good positives, right? We don't talk about the border enough. Go ahead, Father.
I'm sorry. It just seems like it's that thing in action that it's a lot easier to tear something down or attack someone else than it is to build and keep people together. But
and you see this in the podcast world, right? A lot of the biggest podcasters are the burn it all down people, and the build it back up people. That's a lot more boring to listen to because it's a lot harder to do.
And then we'll talk a bit about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to point out some negatives too. Probably the biggest negative I see is that we have the House, we have the Senate, we have the presidency, and yet we've done almost nothing from a bills or a long-term foundational perspective. Most with the big beautiful bill went through, but that had its own share of positives and negatives. I just think it's unfortunate that while we had this opportunity, it was very much squandered by all the infighting and just continued reliance on executive orders and that type of thing. So good and bad.
Yeah, no, I think I'm with you. I mean, that's about my feelings as well. It's been some weird stuff, but also I don't like Matt. I love you, Matt, if you're watching this, but that idea that we would have been better under Kamala or Obama, I think it's ridiculous. I think it's truly an absurd thing to say, and I think that no one can ever convince me otherwise that he was a better choice than Kamala Harris, just in terms of IQ, for goodness sake, but also in terms of morality. I mean, really in everything. I mean, that's not a choice, in my mind. But yeah, I've been pretty disappointed. I think, as Eric said, I mean, I expected going into this like, okay, he knows what he's doing, he knows what he wants, he's done this before, and then he lost, and now he kind of has his people around him now, and he's going to get in there, and he's going to change things. And as Eric said, he did. He started out really well, started changing stuff, and then just kind of hasn't done much of anything, seemingly, at least. I mean, I guess maybe he's avoided wars, which I think is actually possibly true. Maybe the thing in Venezuela, maybe it will turn out in the long run to be a big win. I think that is possible. I think that we do have to be really careful how we judge these things literally the day that they happen. But yeah, I think I've been pretty underwhelmed, pretty disappointed. And I think, again, we'll talk about what we expect for the year later in the show. But I do think Trump has something up his sleeve. I think he must for the coming year, because I don't think Trump's going to let the midterms go as they're going now. I think he's got something big coming. But again, we'll talk more about that later. Before we get to Dad's opinion, everyone in the chat, let us know, what did you think of Trump's first year of his second term? Do you just give him let's say a grade from 1 to 10, 10 being great, 1 being terrible? Let us know what you think. Was he a 1, a 10, or I think so far we're all kind of like
6.
5 or 6.
Yeah,
exactly. 6. He's a little above average, but I was hoping for an 8. Okay, Dad, what do you think of Trump's?
I think
now you're going to get the optimist side of things, right? So I think as far as the specifics of good and bad, I'm pretty much. I mean, Eric really, I think said it better. You got some tax cuts that have been made permanent. You've got a lot of manufacturing that is in process of being brought back to America. So I mean, you got a lot of the plumbing that's kind of being redone. But here would be my argument to anybody out there who thinks that Trump has not done a good job. Name for me a president who in their 4 or 8 years did a better job, and what did they accomplish? Okay, that's my question now to anybody. Look at Ronald Reagan. What did Ronald Reagan accomplish? Okay, he helped to bring down the Soviet Union, which was already basically coming down. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. He made us feel better about ourselves. He was the one who, taxes and spending increased under him. He was the one that gave us big pharma, and the bill that excludes them from being held responsible for their bad drugs. I mean, there's a lot. Reagan was not a friend of the pro-lifers. Yet here's Trump. I mean, you look at Trump. Not only what he's kind of accomplished policy-wise, but I mean, he gave us the justices that overturned Roe versus Wade. No other Republican has done that, and the Democrats, of course, gave us the ones that were on the other side. And then you look at the way he's treated Catholics out there, and you can make the case, well, he's just using us for our votes or whatever. But I mean, he's honored Our Lady. He's honored Christmas. He's honored our Lord. And I mean, consistently, it's like, what more do you want from this guy, And granted, Congress hasn't been very good, but I mean, you've still got too many rhinos in Congress. They're not going to accomplish anything until the rhinos are out and you've got enough of a, majority in there to actually get things done. But the second point that I would make to anybody out there who thinks we would have been better under Kamala Harris and Barack Obama, move to the UK. Okay, go see how things are going in the UK, where we can't even have this discussion. Okay, that's what's going on there. And if Kamala Harris had been elected president, we would be the UK right now. We would probably not, but we would be kicked off the air for having this discussion. So I think that the idea that we're in a worse shape under Trump than we would have been if we had gone the other direction, I can't get into that one.
No, agreed. It's silly.
I totally agree. If I can add one thing that I think is very positive, I think, especially in the last year, it seems that the MAGA group, they ran against wokeness, and wokeness is in a large part dead because of that. Like, I mean, if you look at the Christmas, the White House putting out their Christmas video, last year compared to this year, like the crazy trans people in the White House dancing around, and it was all pink and nasty and gross and disgusting. And I think that is a major thing that is a positive, that we kind of forget how bad it was to some degree because it isn't in our faces as much anymore. I think that's a very positive.
Yeah, and adding a little to your point on the messaging, especially like the pro-Catholic messaging that's come out. It's like, I don't care if he's pandering or not. Putting out a message that is honoring Our Lady or our Lord, or like I think we all saw the one on the Immaculate Conception. How is that ever a bad thing?
Oh, it's going to call down blessing. How can it not call down blessing? No.
She was like, you're at the wrong crowd, to the people that were talking about our Lord.
Well, I agree with you, Dad, that I think we do have to remember that, what compared to what it could have been, I think that's exactly right. I think we need to, just chill it a little bit with the rhetoric, and I think it's fair to give him a 6 out of 10, but I think it's silly to give him a 4 out of 10 or a 2, or to call him a Hitler, or to call him worse than Kamala. It's just it's not even just not helpful. I think it's not reality. Exactly.
It's going back
I will
to
take
fathers
things a little bit with my take here, that there are some things that are deeply disturbing, that I think he's been captured by Israel, and we'll get talking probably about Israel and all that, and that side of things I think is definitely not one that I agree with or I'm comfortable with. I understand it, and I think as we get into it, I'll explain what I think is going on. But it's part of, and then I think that there's a certain different Trump imperialism that we have to worry about a little bit that is kind of, perhaps lurking out there. So yeah, I'm not 100% optimistic either, although I think that we do need to give credit where credit's due.
I think calling Trump worse than Kamala and a 2 and a 1 and all that, that's very much what Father was saying about tearing down versus building, right? It's
Right.
very easy to say, Trump's not perfect. Pontius Pilate, I'm done with him. And it's much harder to say, well, he's doing some good things, he's doing some bad things, and having the intellectual discipline to evaluate that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone asking in the comment section, we do plan to get Anthony Abate in here after Mario Dirksen. Mario's going to join us in about 10 minutes, and then we'll discuss more about what happened again in the Novus Ordo Church during the last year. Anthony Abate will join us, hopefully for a few minutes in the second half of the show, because we have some interesting questions. Are we going to grill him on his heresies? Well, we can. Let's see. We maybe we'll give him a little bit of a hard time, but we don't want to run him off. We want to have conversation with him, right? We want to have dialogue, guys. We want to dialogue with our Novus Ordo brethren, because that's what the men in Rome want us to do. I'm kidding. Well, kind of
Let's
kidding.
fulfill the
Well,
stigma
no, and
that
I
they
think
have of us, that we're gonna call
it's
everyone
actually kind of
heretics.
important, and we may have to even have a discussion here about true ecumenism and false ecumenism. Because true ecumenism is a good thing; it's the pursuit of truth, right? We should be teaching others the Catholic faith. We should be reaching out. We should be dialoguing. We should be doing things like that. False ecumenism is the pursuit of compromise, where we give up our core beliefs in order to have something to agree on. And that's the essence of the Novus Ordo. False ecumenism, that doesn't mean we should not engage in true ecumenism.
Yeah,
Well
yeah,
said.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
to those that don't like, sometimes he doesn't respond to people or doesn't, take your instructions when you post against him or talk against him on his streams or whatever. It's like, who are you going to listen to? Your priest or authority that you recognize, or some random person you don't even know on the internet? Like, I mean, have some patience. Have some patience, and
Right.
look at the reality of the situation.
It's so true, Father, and it's kind of my. I want to talk about Charlie Kirk next, because I think it's kind of the next level of importance. But after that, I do want to talk a bit about artificial intelligence and social media in general, and I do think that Anons thinking that their opinion matters at all just blows me away. It's just amazing to me that Anons on X just think that they should be listened to, and it's just I don't understand it. It's just like, who do you think you are? You're literally this guy. What is it? D23009 is like, you hurt my feelings. You created scandal because you said something mean to me. It's like, dude, shut up. Okay,
Yeah.
anyway, well, let's move on. Don't keep. I better
Let's
not
not
get
get
started
into
on
it, shall
that.
we?
Exactly. Father and I were texting earlier. It's like, okay, Kevin, stay calm, and it's true. I do need to. I need to get off social media in general, because it heats me up. But I do want to move next to Charlie Kirk. I know we're moving along here quickly, guys, but we have Mario Dirksen coming on in about 10 minutes. I guess, Dad, we'll start with you. I mean, I guess where do you go with it? I mean, I suppose what do you think has been the impact of, or no, maybe I'll ask Eric, because I think, Eric, this was the point you wanted to bring up, actually, the impact of the wasn't it you or was it Dad who wanted to bring this up? Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, it was in my list.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Take it away. What do you think has been the impact?
It's been a lot bigger than I thought it would be. Back
Yeah.
when he was doing his thing, I didn't know too much about him. Right? I knew of him, but I didn't watch a lot of his stuff. And then after he got assassinated, you just saw like the massive void he left and all of the cracks and splintering that's been happening in the MAGA or the right or whatever you want to say movement. And so, yeah, I didn't know he had that big of an impact. And so his assassination obviously is probably the top story of 2025.
Dad, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think I totally agree with Eric that I think he, to a large degree, was the glue that was holding MAGA together. But I'll make a little bit of a commentary on this. That how was it he was that glue that held things together? It's because he had the courage of his convictions to go out and he'd speak to any audience, and he brought everybody together. And it didn't matter if it was Ben Shapiro, who I am totally done with, or if it was, JD Vance, or if it was Cash, whoever it was, he was one who could speak to all layers. I mean, talk about true ecumenism. He knew his beliefs, he knew what he stood for, and he would talk to anybody who was willing to talk to him. And I think that that was what made him great. And yeah, I really, really appreciated the guy when he was alive. I don't think I didn't understand how much he meant until after he was assassinated.
Yeah, agreed. Father, any thoughts?
I agree with both of you on that. I mean, I think we've talked about it before on this channel. But yeah, I think he had a profound influence on a lot of people that never heard a side of an argument about God or about abortion and how evil it is, or other things, that a bunch of college students and others that had never heard the other side explained in a charitable, logical way. And he didn't have everything right, but there's a lot of things that he helped a lot of people with. And, I have, for example, one fella that's been coming to Mass that was an atheist. And when Charlie was shot, he's like, I'm coming to church now. And, he comes with his dad, and we're working on him. But I mean, that was something that profoundly influenced him. And we ended up having a 4-hour discussion about God, because he was so, it had such an impact on him that Charlie was gone. And, I think there's a lot of people that Charlie Kirk helped along that road to truth by just talking to him, as he said. So huge loss, I think.
And I think it's a really scary deal that whoever killed him, honestly, I don't know. As Dad said at the beginning, it's a weird story. I don't know. I don't want to make any guesses. I really have no idea. But whoever did it, I mean, it really was impactful. I think that's a kind of a crazy thing, where it's like if they can just say, okay, who's the most impactful speaker to the young people of a generation? Well, you're going to go kill him. That's
I would not have guessed Charlie Kirk.
Terribly tragic thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not have either. Yeah.
Yeah. But
No,
I think that they got it right.
It was. Yeah. Well, and I think it's interesting from that, I've kind of really been turned off by a lot of the supposed right-wing media. I just can't. I just can't really listen to. I mean, Candace Owens, Tim Pool. I mean, just whatever sides they've taken, they get so obnoxious and kind of crazy. And I mean, it makes it so I honestly can barely listen to anyone. I just kind of turned it off. I listen to podcasts when I'm cleaning, my part-time job, and I've been listening to like archaeology podcasts lately, because it's just like I just can't take it anymore. It's just because it became so much more about drama and throwing people under the bus than the actual news or culture or anything. It's dumb. I don't know if you guys feel the same. I don't know if any of you have thoughts on it.
What a crazy thing it is to think about. I mean, if we're talking about this past year, to contrast, Trump getting sworn in and everybody's excitement about everything, that they're going to do in the movement and MAGA and Turning Point and everything they're going to do, between January and October when Charlie Kirk got shot, or September, whenever, like the high and the low of so many people, like that it's been a long year in my opinion. It just seems like a really long year, and so much has gone on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I think, again, we'll talk about that in a bit here, what we expect for 2026, if it's going to be as crazy of a year. We're going to give our predictions, some crazy predictions as well as some normal predictions, and I think we'll have some crazy ones. But yeah, I think it was a long year. The thing that I wanted to talk about here before we get Mario on was, again, social media and how it's been impacted by artificial intelligence. And I don't know, I think Eric's not on, Dad's not on, Father's almost never on. I'm going to be off soon. What do you guys think? I mean, Dad, maybe I'll start with you. What do you think is the future of social media? Because if you get on right now, especially Facebook, Facebook's actually worse than Twitter. If you get on Facebook, it's for me at least, it's half AI. I'll get the same story, like a sports story. They'll tell like this sappy story about some player on a sports team, and I'll see the same story for another team. It's made up. Like they just have AI bots going in and pumping these fake stories. And so I don't know what's true anymore. And I think it's just going to push me off social media entirely.
Yeah. I've had a really crazy revelation this past week, or a couple weeks now, is, and we'll maybe talk about the silver market and how, and that's what I followed for decades now and follow it very closely. And so I watched what's going on on YouTube and all. And a couple weeks ago, I came across this guy called the Asian guy, and I think he also goes by Kevin Wong, and he was putting out some podcasts that were phenomenal. I mean, they're really, really good, well researched. He comes across very professional, really good, nice graphics in the background. And then I finished up, and then I start going looking for some other, videos to watch, and there he is again, and there he is again, there he is again, over and over again. And I realized he's AI, he's a bot, and I mean, he's doing an incredible job of presenting the news. And in fact, there are people out there who believe that he is a bot that's sponsored by the Chinese government. And so he's actually Chinese propaganda working against our governments, but he's bringing us the truth to try to fight against the fake markets in America. And so, I mean, it's crazy. It's psychological warfare, I think. But yeah, I mean, I'm seeing AI slowly. But I got to tell one real quick story here. As I was doing the top 10 objections to sedevacantism story, I decided to do AI. If you watch that, the in the beginning, there's a video of a young girl at a football game who's yelling at the referees, and then a little later she says, "What? Are you crazy?" And that's AI. That was AI, but it looks so real. I couldn't believe it was AI. So yeah, I mean, it's AI is just in the last 6 months, it's gone from being somewhat convincing to almost totally convincing.
All right, we're about to bring in Mario Dirksen. He's waiting in the lobby. Mario, we hear you. We'll bring you in just a second. We're just going to finish this topic real quick. Father, what do you think about AI? Do you think it's going to kick people off the internet?
Yeah, I think more and more it's going to make people just want to find reality and get off the online nonsense.
Yeah.
For me, like as you said, like Facebook is like 50%. I would say even more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many of the stories and things are, you can tell there's little markers you look for. You can tell this is AI generated, just the way it's done. Maybe it's years of grading papers and reading children's essays that is like, okay, there's something funky here. For me, it seems really easy to spot myself. So it's like, I just don't engage anymore. And I've talked to other people that are the same way. It's like, let's just go back to the real world, find out how to build something and make something, and just stay off the internet, because there's all of these opinions and drama and then falsehoods and everything on there anyway. So what's the value in it? Let's just focus on what I can do and what the real world. And I think that's a good thing. I think there's good things AI can be used for, like quick compilations of data. But gosh, it's not a replacement for the real thing. And I think it's going to be a good thing that it drives people away from it.
Yeah, I can close
I
out
think it
real
needs to be
quick.
regulated. It's another topic that I think it needs to be heavily regulated. But we'll talk about that. We actually have a whole podcast where we want to talk about kind of government regulations about that kind of stuff. But we'll save that for another day. Eric, before we let Mario on, what's your thoughts, Mr. Caveman?
I hated and disliked social media before AI was even a thing. So you can tell where my stance is on it before. AI, really not relevant. I just think social media in general should die a terrible death.
Well, why do you think that? Quickly.
I personally have not seen much good come out of it. Now, I'm sure there's exceptions to the rule. I'm sure there's people who have converted or found the true faith from it. But I think that's in the minority based on what I've seen.
I can say, having been off a month, I came back on Twitter and I'm just angry all the time. I'm serious. Like, I can't handle the people on there. It makes me irate, like, immediately. Again, I had these conversations with these people today. It's like, am I just this real hard-nosed jerk? I mean, I really feel like that. Twitter really makes me, I think it does make me mean, and it does just bring out the worst of me because, well, partly because you have these just silly anons who just, type away, being these tough guys, behind their D0/58964, anon name. So anyway, I guess we'll leave it at that. We'll bring on the legend, Mr. Mario Dirksen. Let's see if he'll join us. There he is, sir. Good to see you, boy. It looks like you're working over at CNN today, Mark. How are you doing?
Yes, I chose a fancy looking background. Makes me look important.
It does. I like it. So what's the report? It's gone mainstream.
Oh, exactly. What's the report? Well, I would say it's not been a boring year, has it? 2025, that is.
It hasn't, Mario. We've saved the nonsense in the Nova Scotia Church for you coming on. We figured you're the expert on
thanks.
it. Anyone who doesn't know Mario, go over to novascotiawatch.org.com, either one. And Mario has to cover this stuff. That's what he does. Unfortunately for him, fortunately for us. So Mario, I guess, I mean, where do you begin? Literally, where do you begin?
Well, I just went through the Noble Sort of Watch posts for the year 2025 and picked out what I think were maybe some things that have been forgotten already, or were just overshadowed by, Francis' death and Prevost's election, Leo XIV. And so I don't know if I had to pick like the craziest of them all. I would say it might just be the diaper wearing chickens in Paderborn Cathedral. Okay, I don't know if you've all seen that. Yep. Yeah. And I don't know, Kevin, if you want to pull that up, but this was a post on May 29th of 2025, and it's entitled "Madness in Paderborn Cathedral: Absurd Performance with Diaper-Wearing Chickens, Scythes, and Half-Naked Dancers." And now this was it was not part of the Novus Ordo Mass or anything, although it might as well have been, I suppose. But this was, let me see, I believe it was like part of their diocesan feast, or rather, well, this was part of a performance called Westphalen Side Story, okay, which is a play on words on the musical West Side Story. Westphalia is the area in which it took place. And this performance there was part of some kind of festivities in which, of course, the local Archbishop of Paderborn, Udo Marcus Benz, was present in the front row, and as well Germany's president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, and the minister-president of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. So a lot of VIPs sitting in the front row, and of course, the Archbishop had nothing to say about it, nothing negative at least, not then, not after. And so, I mean, honestly, any normal, decent human being who witnessed what was performed there would have, at the very least, walked out. I mean, it was so absurd that maybe we need to play the video clip there. I don't know, Kevin. Do you want to do this to our audience?
Is that at the top, or is the
a little bit down? Oh, I think you got it blocked. You got the content blocked. See, no. You go up.
It's blocked in Germany.
Yeah. Oh, it's blocked in Germany? Well, wait a minute. Do you? Well,
surprise.
Oh yeah.
Update.
Oh, is it? I don't know. Maybe on copyright grounds, because heaven forbid we might. There it is.
I think I got it.
Okay. So I made this clip, kind of introducing what this was all about, but the footage, of course, is straight from, well, wherever it was broadcast. Now, this is the diocesan cathedral, a historic cathedral.
Can you imagine seeing that next Sunday at your church?
Because this is some kind of dance they're doing with scythes.
I want to see the chicken.
Yeah, you can feel free to fast forward. Then at some point they brought out these frozen chickens. Okay. And anyone in Germany will recognize this immediately, but the tune they're singing there is a popular Austrian pop song from 1985, and they changed the lyrics, and it's apparently meant to be anti-meat eating or something. They're singing "Meat is meat."
Oh,
Yeah.
I was wondering if that was the angle they were taking with putting diapers
Yeah,
on
I figured it had to be something like that. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know. It was never explained. Now, for this post that I made and this video, I looked into this these three individuals there. They're from an ensemble called Body Talk. And I went on their website and looked at some of their other presentations. And I must say, compared to what else they have on offer, this was one of the more reasonable things. Yes, it was that bad. So everything else they do is worse.
Yeah.
And now you ask yourself, why?
I have these daydreams that somebody invites all these same people to the same cathedral and announces that they're going to do this kind of thing, and then they actually break out in a Tridentine mass and lock the back doors. These same people would freak out.
Yes.
Some of them might spontaneously catch on fire as well.
Right.
Yes. And there would be press conferences afterwards without end. And, immediate action taken, people sacked.
Yeah,
right.
It would be condemned
all of that.
entirely. Yeah.
Here, there was nothing. And this was, this made the news like in secular podcasts and stuff. Okay. This is not something strictly, Catholic issues. Like, no, people are saying, what in the world is this garbage?
Well, you have secular.
It wasn't in Vienna, surprisingly.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
The Urukai nativity bird too. That was creepy.
Oh, from just the other day.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, I'm still gonna put up a
couldn't
post
watch
on that. That was the latest abomination.
They
that
try to
was
outdo
like
themselves, don't they?
I guess they have to continually top
Yeah.
themselves, right? So this last one that Father here is alluding to is the some kind of a slime monster being passed off as our Lord in the crib, and this was on a televised German mass in the public television channels in Germany. They will alternate every Sunday. With one Sunday it's a Lutheran service, then it's a Novus Ordo Mass, and so for Christmas it was Novus Ordo Mass, and it was absolutely repulsive and disgusting and had nothing to do with the Nativity of our Lord, but that's how they were marketing it.
Kevin, why do you live in Germany?
The Germans are
again?
the leading edge of modernism. They have been for a long time.
And that's why you're there?
I'm here to fight it.
And it's
I'm
so
fighting
simple,
from within,
guys.
Eric.
It's
I'm
so
fighting
simple.
Mario
Just-
left, so I had to come here and take his spot.
Just give up the name, all right? You can have the buildings. We'll get them back in probate. Just give up the name Catholic, and everything's good.
Yeah. I mean, we want the buildings back eventually too.
We'll get them back
but-
eventually.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Once the boomers all die.
But guys, really, it's not that big of a scandal because there's a lot of Pater Nosters being chanted in Latin, so that deletes all of the problems.
Well, and it wasn't
By
ex
Leo the
cathedra.
14th.
It wasn't
Yes.
ex cathedra, so it's okay.
He's just being a
Yeah.
bad dad. Let's just keep this in mind.
Right.
Yes. So that was
Well,
perhaps the craziest story of 2025 on my radar. But as bad as that is, it doesn't really involve theology, so I guess it's kind of in a non-theological category. The things Leo has done are a lot worse for that reason. And
What's the worst
maybe
thing
we
he's done,
should.
Mario?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
please. I'm curious what you think the worst thing is he's done, because he's done some pretty crazy stuff in a year.
Oh man, you asked me for the worst thing. Well, I guess it must have been his endorsement of the Abu Dhabi document on human fraternity, in which it is said that God wills the diversity of religions, just as he also wills the diversity of sexes and languages and races. And yeah, so Leo the 14th is 100% a man of Vatican II, and I really don't care in what language he chants the Our Father. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, that is, that makes all the difference. Oh my goodness, look, he's wearing beautiful vestments and he chants the Our Father in Latin in St. Peter's Square. Yeah. So,
Well,
how does that make?
Since Stephen Cox couldn't make it, I have to speak for him, because I mean he's went all over the Trad Inc. issue, because I think that's been a big part of this story too, right? That the Trad Inc. really, the conservative arm of Nova Sordo Media, has just covered for him. They've just covered. I'm part of it with this whole thing of him chanting in Latin. They'll just like, he'll do something crazy and they'll just forget it, and they'll just be like, next page. They sweep it under the rug. With Bergoglio, they were complaining all the time, but boy, they really changed tune quick. I mean, we've seen that with a bunch of these big names. I think that's been something that we've seen. We talked earlier, Mario, a little bit about the conservative media in the U.S., but I think it's happened too with conservative Catholic Nova Sordo media. It's kind of showed its true colors.
Yeah, I thought it was remarkable how quickly it seemed like all the big Nova Sordo media outlets, or the ones that are considered traditional in some fashion, how they all flip-flopped from first condemning Leo to like, oh, well, let's give him a chance. Well, let's see how this goes. I mean, I prayed the rosary and I feel like I have hope, is what Taylor Marshall said. And it was, a few days earlier, he had denounced Prevost as the worst possible choice after Cardinal Parolin, but he was not in the running anymore, seriously. So that was rather remarkable how they all flipped. So within 24 hours, as if somebody had picked up the phone and said, hey guys, we need you to give him a chance. Hold off on all the negative, so.
Yeah, I suspect they can hold that up. I suspect they were probably, encouraged to change that position. But I'll tell you, my thought on this is that, and Mario, I'd like to get your thought, that basically when Michael Matt came out and said zip it, okay, it's just horribly detached from reality, but it's actually a more Catholic position than recognize and resist, because we don't resist our Pope.
Yeah, and I mean they do anyway, but they might not talk about it. Honestly, the fact of the matter is that he's really irrelevant to them insofar as their doctrine goes, their saints go, right? Leo XIV might as well not be the Pope as far as Michael Matt is concerned. I don't know, except that of course now he has a lot more to write about in the Remnant. Right. But in the practical order of things, I don't see how the Vatican II popes have any practical relevance other than to know what to resist.
But Mario, for just $29.99 a month, you can get really good kind of Catholic teaching at Pelican Plus. That is not a paid advertisement, guys. That is not a paid advertisement.
Pelican Plus. YouTube. Well, that could be that would be an interesting topic to talk about, I suppose.
It would. We got to save that. We got to save that one, Mario, because it would be. I think it's completely ridiculous. But Mario, I know you sent me some other links. What else happened in 2025?
Let's look at the story of July 30th, and that was Leo XIV denies another miracle. Says Christ invited the deaf mute to choose to speak again. Okay, so we all, I'm sure, know about the miracle of our Lord healing the deaf mute in the gospel. And we find it, let's see, where are we here? St. Mark's Gospel, chapter 7, verses 31 to 37. Right, so this is where our Lord puts his fingers into his ears and spitting touches his tongue. And then he looks up to heaven and groans and says, Ephata, which is be thou opened, right? And immediately it says there, his ears were opened and the string of his tongue was loosed and he spoke right. Right. So it's actually a very simple story, right? There was a man who couldn't speak right and who couldn't hear. And he wanted our Lord to heal him, and our Lord did. But not for Leo XIV. Leo said, we have it. Leo made it seem as if the man was not actually mute. He had actually chosen not to speak anymore. Perhaps because he did not feel understood, you see. He must have been one of those marginalized people that have no voice, you know. And so he concludes that, let's see. So when our Lord says, "Be thou opened," ephata, Leo says, quote, "This simple and beautiful word contains the invitation that Jesus addresses to this man who had stopped listening and speaking. It is as if Jesus were saying to him, 'Be open to this world that frightens you. Be open to the relationships that have disappointed you. Be open to the life you have given up facing.' Closing in on oneself, in fact, is never a solution. After the encounter with Jesus, that person not only begins to speak again, but he does so plainly. This adverb, inserted by the evangelist, seems to suggest something deeper about the reasons for his silence. Perhaps this man had stopped speaking because he felt he was saying things the wrong way. Perhaps he felt inadequate. All of us experience what it means to be misunderstood, to feel that we are not truly heard." Unquote. So, yeah, he obviously, if the man is not really mute, then our Lord does not really work the miracle of allowing him to speak again. That it was more of a psychological therapy session, getting him to talk again, to face his fears and choose to speak again. It is unbelievable.
It's such. So Father, you've been to seminary, obviously. If you were to write this into a first year paper and give it to Bishop Pivarunas,
goodbye.
How
You'll become
Catholic. Airfare next morning, right?
No, it's so ridiculous. It's your typical modernist drivel that deny the supernatural, deny the miracles of Christ, deny his divinity because you got to make him more acceptable to all humanity. It's so frustrating. The whole point he made there about, there's something about him saying it, he began to speak plainly. So yes, he was a mute for however many decades, and then our Lord cures him instantaneously, and he starts speaking like he never was a mute before. That his tongue is loosed and he doesn't have any speech impediment, even though he's never talked a day in his life. And he began to speak plainly like anyone else. It's so simple and it's so clear. But no, I guess the word mute has a different meaning. This is your typical modernist, ambiguous garbage naturalism. And it's who else likes to change the meaning of words? I mean, who's behind that? It's always like, it says mute, but what it really means is liberals love to do that whole change the meaning of words thing. That's so irritating.
Yeah, so that was one of the more serious things coming from Leo the 14th, because that's a blasphemy and a heresy, right? I mean, he's denying divine revelation by reinterpreting it, and he's insulting the Lord in the process, even directly, more or less.
Didn't he also deny a different miracle this year? Or am I remembering that wrong? Wasn't there? Sure, was it the loaves, the loaves and the fishes, or what was it? There was something else that he denied, right? I remember really clearly thinking, like, wait, he said what? It really, he's trying to, as Father said, is he truly trying to naturalize Christ?
Yeah.
Well, just like Francis.
Modernist MO.
Right, exactly.
Pope Pius X said that very clearly. That's the whole point.
For us in Omaha, we were with Bishop Pivarunas, and he circles around to this in his sermons from time to time. It comes up at the Fatima conference a lot of years. If you really want to understand our Lord and the what makes him Christ and how we know he's Christ, it's his miracles and his prophecies. It's those two that he really goes on. And Bishop Pivarunas loves to go through and just lay out all the miracles and prophecies to explain this is why we know he was God. And I think that if they're out there denying the miracles, that's exactly what they're trying to do. Is they're just paving the way to deny his godliness.
Yeah. As I say, St. Paul said that if Christ had not risen, our faith would be in vain. Our belief in Christ is entirely dependent on whether these miracles actually happen. Because if somebody goes around claiming that they're God but doesn't have the power of God, then he's a liar and a fake. Well, I mean, it's not just Leo; it was Francis as well, and I guess, Benedict the 16th. Ratzinger had that thing in the book when he was a cardinal, writing that the resurrection of Christ can't be considered a historical event, like was his death. They don't believe that he is God. They don't have the Catholic faith. Period. It's so clear.
What I've noticed in my years of doing this is that the Novus Ordo popes, they at least since Francis, have one message, one gospel, so to speak, for believers and one for unbelievers, or rather none for unbelievers. But it's not always you would think that they would preach the same thing no matter who's in the audience, right? Now, obviously, you would address unbelievers in a different manner and so on to lead them to faith, right? Than if you're talking to believers, but still it must be essentially the same content, the same gospel, right? You might emphasize one thing more than another or whatever, but it can't be that you have a different message for those who don't believe. And yet that's exactly what we see also with Leo the 14th. So on June 30th, and Kevin, I sent you the link. This is a post of June 30th entitled Leo the 14th on the multiplication of the loaves. Christ's real miracle was the lesson of sharing. And he says, this is a message to participants in the 44th session of the FAO conference. That stands for Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, and that's tied to the United Nations. So here he is talking to a mixed audience, right? Believers, unbelievers, all kinds of people. It could be Muslims there, could be Catholics there, could be Protestants, could be Jews, could be agnostics. And so instead of inviting them or urging them to acknowledge our Lord's miracle of the multiplication of the loaves, instead, he kind of dumbs it down to the point that they are comfortable with it in their unbelief. Okay? And so he says, quote, when we read the account of what is commonly called the multiplication of the loaves, we realize that the real miracle performed by Christ was to show that the key to overcoming hunger lies in sharing rather than in greedily hoarding, unquote. Okay? And so here you can see how he changes the message based on who's in the audience. Okay? No one is going to be offended by a Christ who gets everybody to believe that we really need to be sharing and not be greedy. Right? That's garbage. But you see, you don't need divine faith to find that attractive. You don't, this works for people of any or no religion. And look at how he calls it what is commonly called the multiplication of the loaves. So right there, he's putting in a disclaimer and saying, look, we may call it that, but whether it really was a multiplication of the loaves, who knows? We're not asking you to accept that. We're not even sure ourselves. Okay, so this too is blasphemy and heresy. And to say that getting people to realize that overcoming hunger lies in sharing is, first of all, not a miracle, and certainly not the real miracle, as if the multiplication had been fake. But that's Leo the 14th.
What is a miracle in their book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they believe in miracles, period, I wonder? I mean, would it have been possible to share, was it 5 loaves and 2 fishes or whatever, with several thousand people?
Yeah, I guess
they had that little bit of food.
Yeah, I think the modernist way of looking at that is always that because our Lord got them to open their garments where they had hidden all this bread, right? and the fish, and they were just sharing, and that was the real miracle.
Even though Scripture said they have no food, but whatever. You know,
Yeah.
Truth is relative, right? So another modernist favorite. So yeah, sure, that's the truth can be suited.
And why do you have to dumb it down? Why do you have to dumb it down? I mean, it's actually an insult to the unbelievers, to be honest. Because I mean, it's like taking a 10-year-old and talking to them like a 3-year-old. You don't need to talk to a 10-year-old. Talk to them like a 10-year-old, and tell them the truth, and just feed them. You know, you don't have to feed it in the most potent sense, but I mean, feed them the truth.
Yeah. So here we have a clear example of Leo XIV preaching a message that is, well, ostensibly it is from the gospel, but all the supernatural has been sucked out of it and made palatable to the masses, to the unbelievers. And I guess that's perfectly consistent with Vatican II's doctrine of religious liberty, where, you know, the most sacred thing is everybody's conscience, and oh my, better not inform their conscience, you know.
It all works together. It all works together as a whole. And I know that, you know, for me, Mario, I mean, so much of the great work that you do, and then Louis, and watching these, the shows that he's been doing with Kevin on the documents of Vatican II, and so much of this is just, for me, it's really helped to build a complete tapestry. That this is not just one or two little oopsie type mistakes. This is a broad agenda to bring down the Catholic faith, and it's just being carried out subtly over the course of generations.
Totally. Yeah. These people ultimately do not believe in Catholicism.
Right.
Because you have to believe that it is objectively true.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously, what else are we doing here? But
Yeah.
and no amount of Latin is going to fix that. If you don't have faith, faith is a supernatural virtue. No amount of Latin is going to make that better.
Yes.
You're the Catholic or you're not. You either have faith or you don't.
Right. And what happened to our host here?
Yeah.
He got kicked off, and he's trying to get back on here, but
while he's trying, Mario, do you have any other
oh yeah.
Let's get to
we got stuff.
Another hard hitter.
You know what? Oh yes, I got a lot of flack for this one story here. The Vatican Library provides prayer room for Muslim visitors.
Okay? Oh, I saw that.
Oh,
right. This was in October, I believe.
How did you get flack for that?
Well, because of the image I used in the post. And let me see. Is Kevin? Oh, Kevin's back. Kevin, can you put up that?
I got kicked out of my own show. What on earth?
We let you back in.
I'm not sure about this Riverside program, guys. Yeah, thanks, Mario.
Wouldn't have happened if you were in the U.S., Kevin.
All right, what are we talking about? What am I uploading here, Mario?
Vatican Library provides prayer room for Muslim visitors. Oh no, he's reconnecting again. He's gone. Oh, there he is.
Really? What in the world? Oh my goodness.
We can see and hear you.
Let's see the Muslim one.
Yeah, the Muslim prayers.
Did you send that to me, Mario? I'm trying to find it.
Oh, maybe not. I thought I did. Well, here we go.
I don't think I have that one.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
And so what had happened was that the Reverend Giacomo Cardinali, who, by the way, is not a cardinal, his last name is Cardinali, was interviewed for the Italian daily newspaper La Repubblica, which is a left-wing newspaper. And he said, let me just quote it from, there was a German website that cranks out automatic English translations of some of its articles, summarized what he said in that interview. So let me quote from that. Quote, even in the most important library in Christendom, Muslims do not have to give up their prayers. And then it quotes Giacomo Cardinali. Of course, some Muslim scholars have asked us for a room with a carpet for praying, and we have given it to them. That is pretty much the gist of the quote. And then it continues here. The Vatican's book collection contains incredibly old Qurans, Cardinali continued. We are a universal library. There are Arabic, Jewish, Ethiopian collections, and unique Chinese items, unquote. So some people, I think, misunderstood what is outrageous here. As far as I can tell, there's nothing wrong with allowing a Muslim scholar access to a Catholic library. After all, we want him to be exposed to Catholic books, right? The problem is that when those scholars approach the librarian and say, we need to say our prayers, can we get a room somewhere with a carpet? He would have to say, absolutely not. But of course, in the Vatican II religion, that is perfectly acceptable. But you can see here, it's all about, oh, but their conscience and they need to, whatever, pray 5 times a day. And well, okay, but then you'll have to do that somewhere outside the Vatican library. And if that means you can't go to the Vatican library because you need to say prayers, well, guess what? Then you're not going to the Vatican library. It's that simple. But this again is Vatican II theology in action, right?
Well, it was JP2 that said we worship the same God as do the Muslims, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, but I mean, even if you say that's true, which some people do, which I don't think is true, but even that, it's still false worship. Just like you wouldn't allow, let's see, never mind. I can't think of a good example. I was going to say Jehovah's Witnesses, but they don't believe in the Trinity. But okay, Kevin, can you put this up again? I want to look at the title image of that post that I put together.
Say a prayer. Yeah, let's see.
But it's the image I got pushback for. It's so sad that it no longer registers outrage for so many people that the Vatican would provide the Muslims with a room in which to pray. Now, can you zoom in there a little bit? Okay, because so what I did was I took an image of the Vatican Apostolic Library and I superimposed a praying Muslim, and also I grabbed a Muslim prayer room sign from, I think it was from an airport or something, okay, to illustrate the absurdity, okay? And then as I put this up, I'm thinking to myself, gee, you know what? Some people might think that this is the actual, like this is an actual photo from the Vatican Library's Muslim prayer room or something, right? So I decided, no, let me put in the caption, let me put a disclaimer. And if you scroll down a tiny bit, you can see the caption. It says, this image shows the actual Sistine Hall of the Vatican Apostolic Library. The prayer sign and the praying Muslim are stock images added for purposes of illustration only. Okay? Figured, okay, I'll cover all my bases here because I'm not trying to mislead anyone. I'm just trying to show the absurdity. Okay? Now, of course, the way this works is that on social media and in some contexts, you only see the image and the title maybe, but not the disclaimer. So I got accused of, manipulating an image and trying to mislead people and all that. I thought it was so obvious that this is obviously, there's not this sign in the Vatican Library that says Muslim prayer room. I thought it was obvious enough, but we live in strange times, and I guess some people thought that this is actually a sign there, or it was that I was saying that's the sign there. And
isn't
then
it
there
funny
was
though that they're upset with you about that, even if that was, I mean, isn't that just ironic that you're the one that they take out their frustration on?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but I do have Muslim call to prayer over the Vatican loudspeaker on my 2026 bingo card.
Oh, very good.
I like that. We're gonna do those 2026 predictions. That's a good one. Wow.
Oh gosh.
They would
it's
do
outlandish,
it,
but it's not impossible. It is not impossible.
Well, they would do it along with maybe also with church bells and I don't know if maybe the Jewish shofar or something,
right?
Just for make sure everybody thinks these three are equal. But then there was this big controversy about, well, what is this Muslim prayer room? Because a lot of people thought, well, Novus Order Watch is saying that there is a specially dedicated prayer room just for Muslims, like, their own dedicated thing. Whereas I wasn't saying that, and neither was this Giacomo Cardinali saying that. At that point, on October 8th, I had no idea. All I knew is what Cardinali said. He said, some Muslim scholars have asked us for a room with a carpet for praying, and we have given it to them. I don't know more, and I don't know less than that. Whether that is a dedicated room or not, I don't know. Probably not. I'm thinking they probably just had a little room somewhere, maybe with some boxes and stacks of books and stuff, but it had a carpet in it, and they said, just use that. But it doesn't matter. It's still wrong. It's still wrong to let the Muslims pray there.
So I have a question. If in 10 years, when 85% of Europe is Muslim and they elect a Muslim or a Jew to wear the white cassock, do you think Catholic Inc. and others will still call him the Holy Father and demand that we submit to him?
I think Taylor Marshall is going to pray the rosary, and then he's going to have hope.
The distinction is only between a heretic and an apostate, or infidel, I should say. That's the distinction. Neither is Catholic.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a good point. It's one of my predictions for the next 10, maybe not this year, but the next 10 years is that they will drop the name Catholic. Dad brought that up at the very beginning of the podcast, and I think I actually think that's vaguely possible, that they'll say we are the Church of the World, we are the World Church or something like that, and they actually might drop the name. I think that's the only vaguely possible, but maybe when the boomers die. I think that's not insane, and I think it would obviously be best case scenario for us.
They would have to think that we are absolutely not a threat, and that we're so insignificant that we'll never rise up to anything, because they by giving up the name Catholic, they're going to unleash forces that they can't control.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
that is true. Well, Mario, then do you have any predictions, or I don't know if you have anything from this last year you still want to mention, but I know we wanted to have you on for about 30 minutes. We might have Mario might have Anthony Abate coming on as well. Everyone, please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Do you have anything else from 25, or do you want to give us prediction for 26?
I'm really not into predictions because I'm not good at them, and this world, including the Vatican, are very hard to predict. So I haven't really thought about it yet, but for 2026, I think it'll just be more of the same. Maybe we'll see Leo the 14th show up at the Wailing Wall, because that's coming up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I just don't know if he'll have to do it in his first full year. Francis did. I don't know if he had to do it, but he did do it in 2014. So he was elected in 2013. So there's a good chance we might see that.
All right, we're being joined as we speak by Mr. Anthony Abate in New York City. Anthony, thanks for joining us.
What's going on, guys?
Anthony.
Howdy.
Doing well.
Hello.
Mario's over here. Mario. We got a couple other hosts here, Father Geckle, my dad, Eric. Anthony, I know you're busy. You're showing some people around New York City. So we want to get a couple things from you real quick. 2025, what really stuck out for you from the last year?
Wow, what stuck out for me in 2025?
You're the awesome new Archbishop of New York, the very manly one.
Yeah, it's a very masculine bishop that we have in New York now, that I'm being very cautious about how I go about things because I may bump into him. Things are... man, I don't know. I almost feel like there's like a malaise now since Francis is gone, that there was, it's not as exciting as under Francis was, but we'll see how 2026 goes. But 2025 kind of, especially with Charlie Kirk dying and Trump getting elected, I don't know. Things just feel very different from the year before.
Yeah, you think different in a good way or a bad way?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm a little worried. Like things were exciting. Yeah. Things were exciting under Francis, where everybody thought like the end of the world was coming, and now everybody's kind of just like, oh, maybe everything's back to normal, but nothing's back to normal.
Well, I mean, you have Kissy Fernandez and the stuff coming out about him, and just nothing happening to him. I think just shows me at least that, yeah, nothing's really changed. I mean, Mario has been talking the last few minutes about some of the things that have happened in 2025, and they're shocking. I mean, Anthony, we're talking about, in Germany, in a cathedral, a bunch of guys dance around with chickens with diapers on. So, it's I wouldn't say it's not exciting at all. I mean,
you gotta
some
love the
stuff is going on.
Germans. The Germans are always a treat. Aren't you in Germany, Kev?
I am. Yeah, I've not run into too many of those crazies, but I'm in a little village, so someday you never know.
Yeah,
I don't go into the churches too often.
We were considering doing like a pilgrimage to Germany, and I'm like, I would really have to search out like all the Sedevacantis chapels in Germany if we were going to go there, because how could you possibly go to just some random church in Germany?
It's crazy too, and actually in some dioceses you can see that they're worse. That whoever was the bishop back in the 70s or 80s or 90s or whenever, they really ripped him out. But the good thing is many of the churches are pretty well preserved historically. So Germany, at least in Bavaria, they make them keep them pretty traditional. They'll put it in the little tables and stuff. But they're beautiful churches. Bavaria is really a wonderful place. Actually, I have to say. So we'll see how long that lasts. But I saw you're going to Rome. I saw you're going to Rome. You got to stop by and say hi.
We're doing like Rome. Then we're gonna head down to the Amalfi Coast, and then we're gonna go back up to Assisi. I just went to St. Vincent Ferrer in New York City just to show a couple of friends what St. Vincent Ferrer looks like, and they had like a private Latin mass going on in one of the side chapels. It was like stunningly beautiful, and we got to sit in on that. Now we're about to go. We're going into the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, and they have like an entire floor that just is dedicated to like Byzantine and European art from the Middle Ages and the Renaissance period. So we're gonna go check that out. But yeah, I'm excited to go back to Rome. Rome is one of, if you're a Catholic and you haven't visited Rome, you're missing out.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I got one more question for the end, but I want to see if anyone else has questions for you. Anyone, Father or Mario? We'll start with you. Father, do you have any questions? Anything you want to ask Anthony? Say to Anthony.
How do you like your mayor?
I'll be honest. He's just another Jewish mayor. Everybody thinks we got a Muslim mayor. He's just another Jewish mayor. I don't know why everybody's freaking out.
Which is better? Which is worse?
They're all the same. I mean, honestly, we're in New York City today, and things don't seem much different. So we'll see. I'm not happy. I mean, what are you going to do? But
I hope not.
It's a long time since the days of Giuliani. We'll see.
Yeah, right.
Mario, any questions for Anthony?
Not really. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, all
Fair
of
enough.
you. Happy New Year. I wish I was home and I would have time to actually sit with you guys and talk. I'm actually in line to get into the museum right now, but well,
let's do it again sometime, Anthony.
Absolutely,
we'll have you on again and we'll chat. And it was nice of you to drop in. And my one question for you though, what do you recommend to eat if someone goes to New York City? Where's the must go for?
I
just
nice took my friends to Quality Italian, which is a terrible name, but it is the nicest restaurant in New York City. If you're ever in New York City, go to Quality Italian and make sure you order an aviation martini while you're there. You won't regret it.
Awesome. Thanks. We appreciate you. Have fun at the museum, and we'll see you next time, Anthony.
I'll talk to you soon, Kev. Adios, guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.
See ya.
That was Anthony Abate of Avoiding Babylon. And we've had him on with Mario talking about Sedevacantism. Actually, we hope to have him on again to discuss the same topic because, well, we want him to become a Sedevacantist. So that's the goal. We want to get him to understand that the man in Rome and the last several have not been the true popes. Anyone who's just joining us, that is our position. We are Catholics, of course, but we realize the situation in the church is that there is not a pope currently in Rome. Hasn't been since 1958. And as I'm talking about that, I do have to pitch anyone who is new to the channel. There's a great series with Mr. Louis Verrecchio. You can find it on this YouTube channel. It's really good. He's done a ton of research into it. He's a Vatican II expert. It deep dives into the actual dark documents of the Second Vatican Council. And it's awesome, guys. And I can say that I'm the host, but I don't do anything, so I can really brag about it because Louis Really puts a lot of work into it, does a great job. I also want to, before we get too much farther, I want to shout out another unpaid sponsor for the show. Bear with me, guys. Ooh, what did I just do? This new program is really throwing me a couple curveballs tonight. I want to shout out a friend to the show. That is Etsy Lumen Art by Anne. She has this really nice hand-drawn images of the saints. She's a traditional Catholic down in Florida. Mario actually might know her. You might know her, Mario. I don't actually know. I know you're down there in Florida. Beautiful coloring pages for children. It's really nice. It's a coloring book that also has short stories and descriptions of the saints. She has other things on her channel. She really has beautiful art. I highly recommend it. You can find that again, Lumen Art by Anne over on Etsy. I will really try to remember to attach a link. You guys know how terrible Iron Section always reminds me. She always she's like, Kevin, don't forget it again, and I always forget it again. But here's the link. I'll send it at least now in the live chat. Please go check her out. It really is wonderful stuff, and I try to support traditional Catholic businesses as much as I can. That is not a paid promotion, by the way, YouTube. So don't sue me. All right, Mario. Anything else you want to say before you head out? Do you have any other comments? Anything you want to?
I mean, obviously, I still have way more content, but that's okay.
We got to do our own show, Mario. We should do our own wrap up. Yeah, that'd be fun.
How about we look at some photos of last January when the Kazakh Bishop Athanasius Schneider had an audience with Francis. Do you want that?
Sure.
Let me send you a link.
Isn't he the hero though? Isn't he?
Yes, he is. That's why this was a news story.
Oh yeah. Okay, I thought so.
Well, and the photos are photos, but still, as I say at the end of the post, at the very least, one must be allowed to raise the question, what is going on here? So if you look at how Athanasius Schneider has thundered against Francis over the years, and here it looks like they're just having a jolly good time. And I mean, these are serious issues, right? Scroll down further. There's a lot more pictures.
Got it.
Right. So yes, I know, of course, it's customary. You will, when pictures are taken, you smile and stuff, but.
Looks pretty genial.
Oh, I think so. Like, that was a good one.
Where is the resist and recognize and resist?
I told him that you're a terrible pope.
I mean, you would not have, just from those images, you would have not gotten the idea that he is the big bad resistor.
No, but it's the same with.
Did anything come of this meeting?
Not that I know of.
A meeting, yeah.
All right, and he never spoke about, to my knowledge, he never spoke about what was discussed. And I'm not sure that, that he may not even have permission to say that without whatever. I don't know how it works. It may be protocol that you can't talk about what was discussed unless you have explicit permission. But we also never knew what came out of Cardinal Burke's meeting with Francis. And now Athanasius Schneider, a few weeks or days ago, met with Leo XIV. So this is also very interesting how in one and the same year he gets two audiences. And I mean, look, Athanasius Schneider is someone who accused Francis, rightly of course, of promoting what he called the joy of adultery, right? Play on words with Amoris Laetitia. That's the document called The Joy of Love, right? In which he essentially greenlights adultery in certain exceptional situations only, of course. And, let's see. he declared, so Athanasius Schneider said it is legitimate to disobey Francis's decree Traditionis Custodes, suppressing the traditional Latin Mass or gradually phasing it out. And
so why has he not been punished? Like who was the Texas bishop who got
Strickland.
booted? Strickland.
Yeah, Joseph Strickland.
So why did Strickland get booted and Schneider just seems to doesn't matter? As you say, there's 2 audiences within a year. That's kind of strange, isn't it?
I think
that's
so.
The point you're making. Yeah, that's odd. Yeah.
And Schneider has published his own, I'm going to call it a counter catechism to the Novus Ordo Catechism, right? In which he
Pelican Plus, or sorry.
No, he's got a whole
month.
book. Let me see if I have it here. It's called Credo, and it is a catechism, a typical catechism format, question and answer. It's very elaborate, has a lot of good information, and it basically goes against Vatican II and other Novus Ordo doctrine, where Schneider judges the doctrine to be false or inaccurate or insufficient or whatever. And that is, from the perspective of Francis, that is a real affront, right? And yeah, why is he not being disciplined? Now, to be clear, he's only an auxiliary bishop. He doesn't have a flock. He doesn't have a diocese as Strickland did. But he is working in the diocese of Maria Santissima in Astana, in Kazakhstan. And let me see if I can remember under whom he is operating. The local ordinary there is it Lenga? No. I have it in the post for sure.
Why don't you know that, Mario?
Yeah.
Come on, man. You got to remember these things. You don't remember the Bishop of Kazakhstan? What are you even doing here?
Yeah. One of the dioceses in Kazakhstan. Yeah, he's not nearly as much in the news as Schneider is.
Well,
but in any case,
saying that Schneider, he seems clearly to be controlled opposition, and I mean, I don't know.
It's hard to argue that or against that.
It's hard to argue, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if he's getting audiences and saying this stuff, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I've wondered that for a long time. It's like, how did these guys? I mean, Taylor Marshall too, right? I mean, he met with. I mean, he gave his book to Bergoglio, and it's like, okay, how does that work? I mean, if this was a true papacy and someone was saying that kind of stuff, you would be, at the very least, reprimanded, right? I mean, at least, you know, right, Father?
It's hard not to believe that it's well-known and controlled opposition when you see Novus Ordo clergy getting laicized or shut down for an anti-abortion sermon.
Right.
I mean, so how come the rebels, the supposed rebels, that issue all these rebukes of what they believe is the highest authority, how is that not worse behavior? But they keep doing it while traditional leaning people get shut down immediately. So it's really hard. I don't think it's rash judgment at all to impute that, considering the circumstances,
or at least wonder, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know for sure, but I mean.
Well, it is interesting, and like Anthony was saying, it is kind of a changed atmosphere since Bergoglio's gone, because he was kind of, yeah, I mean, more openly pagan, I suppose, and people more openly disliked him or disobeyed him. It is curious it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming years. I mean, this year too. What's going to be the next crazy thing? I mean, Mario, you had a whole list now of what just happened. That's not even the whole list, right? I still have links that you sent me before. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and you know more stuff's going to happen. And I guess you wonder, like, as Mario, you and I have talked about many times, you know, it's like, what is the line that's going to make these people say, okay, no more? You know, it's like I don't
think there is one.
And I think I asked Anthony on one of the shows I've done with Anthony. It's like, Anthony, what will it take for you to say this cannot be the Catholic Church? And I think he did honestly think about it, and he said he didn't. I don't think he said. I don't think there is. If I remember,
I'll tell a story back in the day. It just kind of puts it in perspective here. That the photo of John Paul II kissing the Quran had just come out a couple days earlier, and I was on a like a neocon website called Free Republic at that time, and I put the photo up, and it was like this huge scandal, right? And John Paul II kissing the Quran, and I remember specifically one of the liberals there said that is not a Quran, that is a Coptic Bible. And he said if that's a Quran, it changes everything. Well, guess what? It was a Quran, and it changed nothing. And that's they will always move the goalposts.
And that's why they'll never change the name Catholic, because that is something that would, in theory, make these people finally leave the Novus Ordo Church. Like, it would be a very big mistake on the part of the Novus Ordo to change the name from Catholic.
Yeah, I also don't think they need to. You know, why? What is to be gained from that?
Right.
I mean, to be more hippy dippy, you know, more modernist, more, you know, we are the world religion. Woo! Come on, guys.
I think there are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they kind of rejoice in having taken over that which is Catholic, so they can pervert the name Catholic and all that. Yeah, no, I think.
Go ahead.
Now, I think it gives them so much credibility falsely by hanging on to that name.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I don't think they will ever get rid of it.
Does the word Catholic have credibility anymore? I mean, with the world? I mean, not really, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, if people hear Catholic, I think they often think, ooh, you know. I mean, it's one of those sad things. I think it's one of the tricks of the devil, right? That he really kind of made it like, you know, if the world, a lot of people in the world hear Catholics, they think, you know, pedophile priests and stuff, which is obviously, you know, horrible. And even in the case of the Novus Ordo, you know, supposed priests who did that, is a tiny percentage of say teachers who do it. But, you know, that's how they've tricked, you know, the devils use the media and you know, words to make it so that's what you think. And it's the devil's he's figured this stuff out pretty well. He's been doing it a long time, I suppose. But no, well, I guess we'll move on then into predicting our 2026. Mario, you can stick around if you'd like. We're going to give some crazy predictions. If you want to go, whatever you prefer, my good sir.
Okay, no, I'll take off now. But thanks very much for having me.
Thanks, Mario.
Well, thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Everyone, please, NovusOrdoWatch.com. You guys, everyone should know him by now. If you don't, go and familiarize yourself with it. Mario, let's definitely do a show soon. There's a lot to talk about, as always, and we appreciate you and all that you do.
Okay, thank you so much. God bless you all.
God bless you, Mario.
Keep up the good work. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was, as always, a pleasure with
Mario's just
one
he's one of a kind.
Mario.
He is so awesome.
Couldn't remember the Bishop of Kazakhstan. That's
yeah.
He's getting a little old, guys. I think he's slipping. I ain't gonna lie. Mario's slipping. Now, well, let's say I think we got about 30 minutes left on the stream. I don't want to keep everyone awake in the house. And if anyone's wondering, no, I'm not going to be using this program anymore. I'm glad I did a free edition of it. We're going to go back to Restream because at least with Restream, I never got booted out and kept out of my own stream. So that's a new one. They literally said, I can't join. It's like, would you like help with chat support?
Oh, no.
Maybe let me back in my own stream. You know, that would be great. You know, unbelievable. It's always something. Anyway, thank you everyone who is still watching with us. We appreciate you all. 91 good people. Please give us a like while you're watching. That does help the show and helps to more people to see it. We're going to wrap it up by giving some predictions for 2026. We're going to give maybe some normal ones and some absurd ones, or fairly absurd ones. I guess I'll start my normal prediction, which I think everyone's going to agree on. Maybe not Dad. I'm actually curious to get Dad's opinion on this. That unless Trump does something crazy, that the Democrats are going to wipe or clean up on the midterms, and Trump's going to be pretty much a lame duck president for the second half of his second term. My big crazy prediction, which is probably not going to come true, is that JD Vance will become president in the calendar year 2026 due to hopefully not death, but perhaps illness or something of the sort. I do think Trump is getting old, and I do think he is not the healthiest of people. So that's my kind of over the top prediction. Other than that, I do think that the Democrats are going to have a big year. We'll just go clockwise. Eric, what are yours? Do you have any predictions?
Yeah, well, my not outlandish one was the same thing, that the Democrats are going to take both houses of Congress. Although, like we talked about earlier on in the first hour, I don't know how much that's going to change things since he's not using Congress anyway. So, but yeah, not very outlandish there. I'm not like Mario. I'm not very big into the predictions. I'm not good at that sort of thing. I don't have that kind of a creative mind. But my outlandish one is that Candace Owens starts a third party and runs candidates in 26 to kneecap the Republicans, who are rightly shunning her, in my opinion.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, I used to be a semi fan of hers. I think her husband attends the SSPX. I think, and he's a very devout Latin Mass Catholic, let's say it that way. So that kind of made it so it's kind of like, okay, I'll give her a little bit of a little bit of credit, but I didn't like her for a long time, actually, because I just don't like her style. I think she's a gossip queen. It's just it's just not my thing. I think honestly probably more for women. Sorry to the guys who listen to Candace Owens. Just not my. Yeah, I don't really like it, but
she's a storyteller, and she's very good at telling
and
stories.
She's good at what she does. Oh, she's great at what she does. She's one of the top podcasts in the world. She's great at what she does. But the Charlie Kirk stuff's
facts,
bizarre.
I think she's really good at inventing stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. She makes
things out of proportion and misrepresentation. And sharing secret texts. For a short time, I thought she was pretty good, and then I started listening to some objective comments about what she was doing, and it just blew my mind, and I can't unsee that. I can't unhear it. But yeah, I think her husband must be such a devout Catholic that he's great friends with Andrew Tate.
Is he really?
Yeah, they're good friends. Yeah. So I don't know how you can keep that sort of company and be living Catholic values. I just don't see how that's irreconcilable to me. Candace too. She's good friends with them.
Yeah, and defends it.
That's wild. That's so weird. We've talked about that on the show before. That whole phenomenon with Tate and Fuentes in different ways, but similar. That whole idea of being this badass, pardon the language, father. But I mean, in a way, like Fuentes is in a totally different way, but he's more like a smart ass actually. And that's kind of like that's the cool thing these days. Either be a badass or a smart ass. But it's like, boy, you get through just the first layer of these guys, and they're pathetic.
Yeah,
I mean, they have no substance. They don't actually have any foundation of their beliefs. Look at Fuentes. I mean, he's smart, really smart. And the guy, when he goes on big podcasts, says a lot of the right things. But if you watch any of his his live streams, dude's a loser, and he has no real belief in anything. I don't think. Smart guy though.
And the Tate and the Fuentes, the reason they're popular is it's attractive to young men who have been raised to be soy boys, right? Like, at least they're not that. And I think that's kind of the knee-jerk reaction is like, hey, here's these guys who, like you said, are badasses. I'm going to start following them. And, you find out underneath, not much there.
Well, and I'll tell you what, it's one of the themes that I was kind of hoping to bring up today. So I'll maybe make a little pot out of this part of it. But what I think the younger generation is really looking for is authenticity. And that's what they're not getting. And I think they're looking to Nick Fuentes and to Andrew Tate and these guys that kind of are this fake authenticity. But I'll tell a quick story that I was kind of hoping to tell with Anthony on because it involves him. But obviously he was on and off really quickly. When we were watching your show, Kevin, that you did with Mario and Anthony. And my wife Lisa, she's watching, and she says, "Oh, I really like Anthony." And it goes a little farther, and she says, "I think Anthony may be our Joe Rogan without the F-bombs, right?" And I thought, number one, that's quite a compliment. Number two is probably a little bit premature to be using him in the second person we, but I think that's what has brought Anthony to a place of prominence is the fact that he's authentic, he's real, and you know, where we're just talking about Nick Fuentes and some of these guys being fake and no substance, you know, and of course Anthony doesn't agree with us on everything and doesn't have our plot necessarily, but I mean, he's real and he's authentic, and I think that as we look forward to 2026, one of the things we absolutely have to look at is that authenticity and trying to bring that, especially to the younger generation. The older generations need it too, but the younger generations are just absolutely starved for it. And so, to the extent that we can give them real truth, real discussion, the real sacraments, because I mean, there's nothing more authentic than the real sacraments. That's where I think we can kind of win that culture war.
Yeah, no, I agree, Dad, and I think that for the people who criticize, you know, having Anthony on, and there are plenty of them on, mostly on X. I think, yeah, just think of it as, again, you know, the true ecumenism, like Dad talked about earlier. I mean, you want to talk to people, just don't give in on any of your beliefs, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that. Like, hey, you know, we're just normal Catholics trying to be Catholic, and our opinions are good. I mean, that was
the lesson we learned from Charlie Kirk. Was you can talk to
Right.
people who disagree with you, and you don't have to dumb down you know, your faith. You can speak to them in terms of truth, and here is the truth, not our truth, the truth, and you know, speak to them like adults, and you can actually start to form coalitions. That's one of the things the trend that I you know, want to call out for 2025 is the fact that you are seeing, I think, these coalitions being built that didn't exist before, where maybe we don't have the exact same theological positions, but we have a Catholic root. We all want it. We're all looking to be Catholics. We know something's wrong, and we know we don't have 100% of the answers, but we want to reach out and, you know, work with others who are like-minded, who are also looking for the truth. And I think that that's something that really blossomed in 2025 and should continue into 2026.
And Anthony gets a lot of flack for blocking Say Days.
It's
like I would block most of most of the Say Days.
We just blocked one of the big ones. I hate to say it.
Yeah. No, a lot of them they have this whole approach of, well, I'm right and you're damned. It's like, well, okay, then what's the difference between us and Feeneites? I mean, come on, you know, and it doesn't mean I'm backing down on my beliefs. Of course I'm not. But I mean, is that the right approach? You really think you're going to get anyone convinced by just being like, well, you're wrong, you're not Catholic? And it's like, well, you know, careful what you say. First of all, it's a very complicated topic, and people are on a journey, and let's help them along the way. And by doing that, I mean, it was something I've been really thinking about. It's like, you know, let's just say in a scenario where LifeSite News approaches me and says, hey, Kevin, you want a job with LifeSite News? I know half of X would lose their minds. They would literally, I'm not kidding, they'd be calling me a heretic and stuff. For real. I'm not kidding. Like, Father's seen it. They really would. But I mean, how is that not a good thing? How would that not be a good thing to have a Say voice on a bigger channel? I don't know if you guys disagree with me. Father, I know you had something to say.
No, I think that would be a great thing, because it's removing some of the barriers. And if you have if the opponents are open-minded, then you might have a chance of actually addressing the real issues and being heard and being able to represent and bring on others, Bishop Pivarunas and others. Like, what do you want? Do you want the refrain of "Said as a Protestant, said as a Protestant, said as a Protestant" in the parrot voice? Do you want that, or do you want, hey, I'll talk with the guy? Like, which you can't. There's no way around it. You can't just bash people in and expect them to change their mind.
And we're very much in a
there
missionary.
has to be conversations.
We're very much in a missionary position here. Like, what if the missionaries had gone to the new land and refused to learn the language and just yelled at them, "You're all going to hell"? How well would that have taken?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No, exactly right. No, we'll keep it up, and we'll hopefully have on Mario plenty of times. We'll have on Anthony. That's the plan. We have a lot of things planned on this podcast. Again, one of the ones I really want to do is a series called Patron Saints. So if anyone wants to help with that, again, we're looking for help with that series. We're looking for writers and especially video editors. So if anyone has time to do that, that would be fantastic. There'll be short little videos, three to 8 minutes or so just talking about patron saints of everything, from headaches to the river by your house, whatever, so a lot of different things. There are patron saints for really pretty much everything. And we want to kind of, again, use that to try to bring in a bigger audience, try to bring in people into the channel for just Catholic material, which is like the stuff that my mom does so very well, to just try to get people in. And then every now and then we'll have on Mario Dirksen and Father Geckle and Father Benedict to talk about the tougher meat of the matter. But I think primarily we want to do more of the,
Don't raise
the
your
sides
eyebrow,
that
Father.
yeah. Father's like, am I coming back on this show? I'll have to twist your arm, Father.
Did I derail our 26 predictions?
You might
I
have.
think I did.
All right, yeah, that's true. Okay, we'll go to Father. I think Eric did his. So Father, do you have any? Yeah, I know you don't.
Dan, did you get yours?
No, I didn't get mine. That's good.
We're doing clockwise. Or Father, you want time, Father? We can go back to.
Okay, sure. I think I'm the same in Mario's camp. Or I don't do predictions because I'm no good at it. But then yesterday I was like, I think my prediction is going to be that that the U.S. gets into a war with Iran or Venezuela. And then it happened overnight.
That would have been a
So
great
I'm like,
prediction.
oh, okay, maybe I should do this more. But no, I think kind of mirroring what Eric was saying, actually. I think Nick Fuentes is going to become a much bigger and prominent figure, more accepted, less shoved away and ignored. I think he's going to... I disagree with you. I don't think he's a loser. I disagree with a lot of things. I don't like listening to him because he is very bad mouth. And he's also... I don't know really what to think of him. But I don't think he's a loser. I think he's very, as you said, he's very intelligent. But it's also not easy to do what he does, and it's not easy to get that big of an audience, and you have to be devoted to it. I mean, even just dipping my toes into doing podcasts and things, you have to really be at it. And I think there's more to him than just ego. He's resonating with a lot of people. And I mean, who's going to change the future? Is it going to be? I think it's going to be men stepping up and making a difference, and he's speaking to them.
Right.
And I don't think it's all good. Some of it's good, but he's also very, very clearly and abrasively pointing out the wrongs. And it's a lot easier to get a following with pointing out the wrongs and tearing it down. And he does that well. He does it passionately. He does it intelligently. And his brash approach is appealing to people that are fed up with it. So I think he's only going to get bigger. I think he's only going to get bigger, and he's going to make a bigger. I think he's going to make a bigger wave.
I think you're right. I mean, and
Fuentes.
when I say he's a loser, Father, I guess I mean more like he doesn't have any standards. I don't think his what is he basing his beliefs on? Again, he's very smart, but what's it based on? So I mean, when I have a conversation, if I did a live stream like he does, and I just like spout whatever I'm thinking, like it's pretty much what he does. I'm not as smart as him, but if I did it, I'd be basing that off of traditional Catholicism, the philosophy that comes from that, right? The philosophy of original sin and salvation, etc. And everything I want to say, even if I say some bad things, if I use foul language, whatever, is going to somehow be based on that. But if you listen to him, I don't like what's it based on? It's not on his faith. I guess, is it on America? Not really. I mean, what is he? Is he a traditionalist? Is he a conservative? Is he? What is his point? Like what's his philosophy? And I don't think he has one. I think that's why I think he's a loser.
terror
Very
down.
smart.
His root messaging is definitely
exactly. Yeah.
Is resonating. There's no doubt about that.
I don't.
Yeah, because
I don't
people
know
are
what
ticked
his
off.
basis-
The younger generation's ticked off of what they've been given, and I think probably fairly so. But I just think he's certainly not the answer. I think Father's right. I think he is going to get bigger, but I'm sad about that.
I haven't listened to him enough to be able to condense him, but I do think he has his basis is his idea of Catholicism and Christendom. I mean, he talks about it all the time. Whatever his idea of that, I think it just mainly goes back to some basic principles of society in general, and I think that's what he beats the stick on. And I don't
Yeah, but
know
does he
if
do
it's a
that
good
because he
thing.
believes it, Father, or because it's what the young men like? The
I
dude's like
think
a
he
little
does.
gay Mexican. Sorry, okay, I shouldn't say he's gay. He's a Mexican, like half Mexican and stuff, and he's always talking about white nationalism and stuff. It's like, dude,
Sure,
what? I
sure.
mean, sorry, it's like, so I think it's like, Andrew Tate makes more sense to me than Fuentes in a way. I'm not saying I think he's gross, but I mean like he is this really big, strong, muscular, sex appeal guy, and that's his message. Like be big and muscular, and that's all you need in life. It's like, okay, yeah, that's really bad, but okay, it makes sense. But Fuentes is like, okay, what's your actual message other than white supremacy? It's like, dude, you're a little Mexican dude. What are you talking about? White
Well,
supremacy? I mean, I could beat that kid up with one arm tied behind my back. How's that cool? I
I
don't know.
think, well, I haven't listened to a lot of Andrew Tate, but I mean,
I
his
haven't
is
either.
simpler.
Just a little bit.
His is
Yeah.
simpler because it's just based on a more natural perspective. I think Fuentes is trying to combine different aspects, so it is going to be more nuanced. But
True.
I do think I've listened to him clarify some of his positions and accusations that have been made against him, and I think he makes good points on some issues. And when he's riffing with the boys, he just says a bunch of stuff that's taken out of context. And again, I don't think I don't know whether to say it's a good thing or a bad thing. There are bad things in there, but there are good things in there. I'm not
Yeah,
saying I'm a
it's true.
fan. I'm definitely not saying I'm a fan. And I don't even know if I think he believes it, but I don't know why he's pushing it. I don't know if it's because he wants to have a
Yeah.
movement. I don't know if he wants to have, take the reins. I don't know if he's trying to rat out people, because there's something about his delivery when I listen to his live streams. It's something about his delivery that reminds me of like some mind control techniques to get you riled up listening to him, because the way he repeats things and the way he goes off, and the amount of times that he's saying, I was right about everything. I was right about everything. I was right about everything. It's like, I don't know anything about programming minds or whatever, but it seems there's something there that I can't put my finger on that makes me nervous about that. So
Well,
I know
and
I've
I
gone
just
on
see
longer with this, but
I see such an opportunity there, because what his audience and the Andrew Tate audience, what they want, what they're looking for, is what we have, and it's up to us to figure out how do we make that connection, because they're getting kind of they're getting a, I don't know if I'd say watered down, or whatever version of it they're getting from the Andrew Tates and the Nick Fuentes. It's not going to be real and permanent and sustainable like the traditional Catholic faith would be. But somehow or another, we've got to reach that audience, because I mean, they're hungry. They're hungry for this.
More riffing videos, Eric. We want you to do some riffing. All right.
Yeah, I'm
There
the
you go.
perfect riffer.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I
I
do well.
I want to change directions here real quick, because I know Eric had a kind of a comment on this too. When will Catholics make movies? Is
Yeah.
Mel going to pull off the resurrection? Eric, we'll go to you for this one. And it's a great question. With the resurrection, I honestly have no idea. I'm worried about it. I ain't gonna lie. I think just trying to repeat something like the Passion it's really unlikely. It's really unlikely. But I mean, I heard that Mel left his mistress, so that's a good thing. So hopefully he's actually figuring it out and coming back to God. And I'm hopeful for it. But anyway, sorry, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so when Mel was promoting the resurrection of the Christ, he described it as an acid trip, which when a biblical story based on the life of Christ is described that way by its creator, I'm not holding out high hopes on it, unfortunately. No, but this was actually one of my learnings of 2025, that there is a fan edit of the Hobbit movies that's actually really, really good. So,
Oh.
Kevin, I don't know if you remember, but I think we watched the first couple of
Yeah.
Hobbit movies together,
Yeah.
like at the
Yeah.
opening night here in Colorado.
First one, I was
And
like,
we're
hey,
just-
that was good. This
The
was,
first,
that was
the
good.
first one was like, that was okay, and
It
the
was
second
good.
one
This
was like,
I
that
was
was
pretty
bad.
excited. Second one
Yeah,
was
no, I mean,
yeah.
to be
Yeah.
honest, they were terrible, bloated. A
First
bunch of
one's
made-up
bad.
stuff.
Second one and third one are terrible.
Pretty terrible.
First one's
But what's cool is
okay.
it turns out in those 9 hours of bloated terribleness, you can take out about 5 hours and make a really solid 4-hour cut of The Hobbit.
Oh,
So
nice.
if you look out there, it's called M4, like the letter M and the number 4, the Hobbit book edit. And watched the
Okay.
whole thing through and was not mad at a single scene. It was like literally like the book, beat for beat. Yeah, a little choppy, when they had to cut things out, but I was very impressed. So for any Lord of the Rings Tolkien fans out there, highly recommend
On his birthday.
on his birthday, highly recommend
Hey,
the
I got to
M4
tell the
Hobbit
story
book edit.
real quickly here because Sister Antonia showed a. I'd love to be able to show the video, but it was actually an interview that J.R.R. Tolkien was doing. He was very late in life. You could tell his speech was kind of slurred. He was old, and they had asked him why didn't you just have the Eagles take the ring and drop it into Mordor? And he says, "Yeah, I'm gonna explain that to you, and I've brought this up several times. In fact, people have asked down at the pub, and I'll just tell you, what I told them. Shut up."
I love it.
He said
Grumpy
that.
British
That was
dude.
so funny. But
That's awesome.
yeah.
What a grumpy guy. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, listening to the interviews he did, it's actually kind of tough to listen to because he's so just rambling and just like kind of out there, but it's great because he's just such a little
He was
little
a genius.
little British guy, but
all-time genius.
and I also think though it's also people who say that I don't think you really truly have read the books. I think that it really wasn't that simple because it really was guarded by Sauron. I mean, there actually was like a defense mechanism. So it's like, if you actually want to get into it, people always say that. It's like, okay, could they have flown them closer? Maybe, but there actually is some reason for that not to have worked because they really truly needed stealth. And it's not as dumb as people make it seem to be.
Yeah, how many flying Nazgul did they have and everything?
Agree with me?
At least 9.
No, I think
exactly.
it's ridiculous.
At least 9.
There's a lot more behind the story than the movie makes.
Come on, people. It's a great book. We've been listening. Father picked that out on Twitter. On our New Year's Eve party, my wife and I we played chess and listened to Lord of the Rings. It was very sophisticated. I drank my tea with my pinky out. Nerds.
I listen to that audiobook
pretty cool.
like every year. It's just so good.
I do too.
So good. Robbie
it is. It just
phenomenal job.
Yeah, he does. And it's so it's just so
to it enough.
Go ahead.
If you listen it to enough, your brain almost starts thinking in the verbiage, the bigger verbiage, and
and that's why I love it. Like the story's great.
Expresses things. Yeah.
But exactly like the story is great, but the language is just so beautiful. It's just I think it's the perfect English form of English. Because like Shakespeare is too much. American right now is too little. Tolkien was just the English language at its absolute pinnacle was with J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm really convinced of that. I would say him or I love Jane Austen. Everyone knows that. I know, guys. I just called Nick Fuentes gay. I do have 3 children. I just want to say, but seriously, I love the way she uses language. She's great, and her character descriptions and stuff are fantastic. I got it.
You're gonna get the Groypers turned against Catholic Family Podcast with this one.
Oh, they already are, man. I tell you, they're incredible. You text if you even text his name, you don't even at him or anything. You text his name on Twitter, you will get attacked like crazy. These guys are nuts. They are.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's a huge intrigue for me. I'm sorry to keep bringing it up. I just think it's a big thing going on now, and I think it'll be a bigger thing these next few months. It's like it's such a divided thing. There's people that absolutely love him and devoted to him, and then there's the opposite that just absolutely hate him, and I don't know what to think about him. But it's a really interesting thing to see where that goes.
I think we should watch. I think we need to keep an eye on him because it is the future. I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah,
it is. That's the young generation. That's what they're watching. They're watching TikTok and stuff. I'm not saying we should be on TikTok, but I mean, it's good to be aware of what is going on. And you're totally right, Father. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I don't like him, but it's good to know what we're at least what we're up against or what's coming. Yeah, what is coming. And I agree with you too, Father. When he goes on these big podcasts, he does a great job. I mean, like he says a lot of the stuff awesome. Like he really does on the big shows have really good, true Catholic principles, which is pretty cool.
And that shows you his potential. That shows you his potential.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. Yeah, I think you're right with that. I mean, and honestly, it's better than CNN and stuff. I think Fox News, CNN. Different.
No,
It's going to be different.
competition.
But these
No.
Gen Zers and stuff,
No
it's going to be
competition.
wild times. All right, Dad, we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. Dad, what are your
Yep.
crazy predictions?
All right, so I'm gonna go 9, and you know, unlike Father and Eric, I love making predictions, but I'm also always wrong.
It's a Davis,
So,
it's a Davis thing.
but you know, I'm gonna keep receipts. So one of these days, I'm gonna get one right, and then we're gonna make a short, and we're gonna date it, and we're gonna say, okay, I got this one right. My prediction for 2026 is that at least one former president or vice president or presidential candidate from the Democratic Party will be put in jail. So I think that I'll probably get 99 out of 100 people watching this are going to say, no, Dan, it's not going to happen. That's my prediction. I think it is going to happen. So that's
Yeah,
one.
Waltz wouldn't be a bad one to start with.
Waltz is
stuff.
on the
Or
in the
Clinton.
crossfires right at the moment. Yeah, he
Yeah.
should be in jail already.
Yeah.
And so the other one, real quickly, that I had is I think that Catholic Family Podcast is going to have its first podcast. I have no idea what it's going to be. That'll have 1 million views to it. So
Wow.
that one. That's a
Hopefully
real
not
stretch.
about Bridget
About
Macron.
Bridget Macron, yeah, which is currently our number one.
Still, it's so embarrassing.
You almost
that's-
wanna
that's
take
by
that one
far the-
down, don't you?
I might just take that one down, even though it has 500,000 views.
This
on
is
it.
what's wrong with the internet.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness! It was a true throwaway video. Like I spent no time. It was like, oh, okay, I was like a proof of concept. I was trying out for the new show, the new political show. And it's like, okay, I'm just gonna. What's a news thing? Okay, Vigano said this about Macron's wife. Okay, or husband, whatever you want to say, and then just read it with a bad microphone and a bad camera, I think, and it just went bonkers crazy. It just exactly no one virality makes no sense. None.
Hey, let me. There's a comment in here. What about a moon landing episode? And
we did
Kevin,
one.
I haven't talked to you about this one,
Yeah.
but actually now it was about 1.5 years ago that Kevin and our son William and I did an episode. We actually did a pretty well researched episode
Yeah.
on the moon landing, and it actually came up with some different conclude. And really, it doesn't really conclude certainly whether we did go or we didn't go, but basically the fact that the world thought we went was a large reason that we won the Cold War, and so but I thought it was one of our better shows. But we put it on Patreon for paid subscribers, and Patreon, our paid subscribers, is just kind of, we haven't had a lot of new paid subscribers, and we're going to do a new episode every couple of months or so. We just have never done it. So I think we may actually, you know, if it's going to be okay with Kevin, take that moon landing episode and we'll put it up. Maybe seems like we have the don't we have the anniversary of the moon landing coming up here in January? I want to say it's in January. I forget when it is.
I thought it was July.
That'd be a good timing though.
Maybe it's July. Oh, that's right. You're right. It's July. So yeah, we'll find some appropriate date and maybe put that up. But I thought it was one of the more enjoyable pieces that we
Yeah, it was
did,
fun.
and we
Yeah.
all played off of each other really well, and we, you know, we didn't fight, but I mean we did have some disagreements, and it was a really good episode. So we'll try to get that up.
Mailer Tarshall, please don't get me started on the voting thing, but you're wrong. And actually, that comment is deeply un-Catholic. But I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into it. But
Kevin.
yeah, don't feed the trolls. But that is an un-Catholic way of thinking. That I can absolutely say. Pius XII would certainly not approve. Now, if you don't want to vote for Donald Trump, fine, that's a different story. But not voting at all is not
The whole
right.
the whole conversation with that centers around, if everything's fake, then there's no
Yeah,
point.
well,
Understand that,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So
Anyway,
what
sorry.
what do we do? I went
no,
off
no,
on
no,
that
no.
couple weeks, and I'm not saying with you, Father. I'm just like this whole
Father,
argument.
don't feed
Oh,
Kevin.
Don't feed me. Yeah, don't feed me. I already have enough. I get enough of this with Matt. My goodness.
How
Matt.
else are we going to get 1 million
Black
views on this
Colin.
video?
That's true. Right. Yeah, you gotta get me going. Well, with my camera being bad enough, I don't think you're not gonna get anything. Well, guys, we've done 2 hours. Let's say,
Wow,
everyone in
already.
the comment section, you have about 2 minutes to give us any
Predictions.
questions or comments that you might want to get. Predictions. We'd love to hear your predictions.
any
Make them as
predictions for
crazy
2026.
as
So I saw
possible.
a couple earlier on, but I forget what they were now.
Yeah, no, there was one good one about Broncos winning the Super Bowl. I was a fan of
Oh,
that.
there you go.
Yes, they are definitely going to. And I mean, guys, they're setting up perfectly. They are setting up perfect. I mean, it's like it is a dream scenario. Like if they don't win, it's going to be really disappointing. Now,
This is a great way to not get 1 million views talking about Denver sports.
Do you think the Browns will win a Super Bowl before the end of the world?
No.
No.
Me neither.
Yeah, let's keep the conversation fairly, sensible here, Father. Let's not say Browns and Super Bowl in the same sentence. That's a little too crazy on this channel.
Didn't you used to radio host or something for the Browns or whatever?
I used to write for the Browns. Yeah, I used to write for the Browns. Yeah, back in the day, back when they were bad. Surprisingly, yeah. No, and they were really bad though at that time. They were even worse than they are now. Now they actually have some hope. They have Shedeur Sanders. I mean,
yeah,
I think he's a solid quarterback. He's not great, but I think he is a starting quarterback, which is more than the Browns have had since Baker Mayfield, who they just got rid of for no reason.
Nothing.
But anyway.
I think, Kevin, you moved up and gave that job to me, the Browns job. You took a better one, didn't you? Because I remember
I went to I started to write for all of them.
And that
Did you? That's right. I forgot. You wrote for
the Browns. Yeah.
For the Browns, man. See,
we did Broncos and Bratwurst. So Molly says, do more yes or no's this year, please.
Yeah, we should.
Those were some of my favorites to produce. I gotta say, guys,
those were a lot. They're very easy. They're very easy and quick to make, right?
We just have to... and it only took me. I mean, I got it down to kind of a science that it only took me 2 or 3 hours to do the post production on it, and we can kind of pump them out. And they're a lot of fun. They didn't get a lot of views, but they were a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the first couple got like close to 1,000, and then after that, it was not much.
Then they got
I'm
used
down
to
do them again if you are, Kevin. It's just trying to find
for sure. Yeah. Well, and Molly or anyone else watching, if you guys have any topics, because that's actually sometimes really kind of the hard one, because Eric and I, we have identical lives in a lot of ways. Like we're raised in
literally born
Catholic
at the same
families.
Time
Born in the same year, like a month apart, went to the same parish, like the same sports teams. I mean, so it's actually kind of hard to get things we disagree with. So,
but there's also less. There are also less questions that lend themselves to a solid yes or no answer than you think they're going to be. I forget, somebody had given us a list about 50 different really cool yes or no, and only about 10 or 15 of them really turned into ones that were usable for you guys.
Yep, exactly.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. But no, they're a lot of fun. Totally. I mean, and since I'm always right, it actually makes it even more fun. So. See, I couldn't do this with Father because I couldn't. He's a priest. I gotta.
You have to respect the clergy.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like, can
really
I say you're just wrong, Father? I don't know.
Well, you've never picked
Scotch
up
is better than bourbon. I mean, I don't
know. Yeah, I never thought there were so many in between answers until I picked up studied moral theology. You can say I'm wrong on a lot of things.
That's so funny about it. It really is like the thing I've learned by far the most with all the podcasts I've done and people I've talked to is that the surety, being sure about something is really pretty rare. Should be pretty rare.
Yeah.
Besides our faith, of course, in God. But I mean, boy, a lot of these other things are I don't know, subjective is the word, but I mean, like sin, right? Sin is so subjective, right? It's so based case by case basis, and that I don't want subjective is maybe the wrong word, but you know what I mean. It is. It's very complicated.
There's both. There's objective and subjective. The modernists like to make everything subjective and get rid of the objective, and some do the opposite and paint everything as objective. But the state of the person's mind do affect things. Doesn't mean we diminish the objective truth or objective morality, but there's a lot more factors.
So would you say I'm a heretic for reading Lord of the Rings or no? I'm actually surprised.
I think we need a pope to answer that question.
I thought we were going to get Fenites for sure in this podcast. Fortunately, we actually didn't. So I'm pretty surprised.
Somebody shared something about there's a Fenite group, accusing them of that, and then when they tried to respond, they blocked them. And I was like, I beat them to the punch. I blocked the channel before they could block me, so I didn't waste my time.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first rule of the internet. Don't engage with Fenites.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
They tried to tell me that I needed to rephrase my belief in Our Lady being the co-redemptrix in one of my sermons. I was like, yep, I can't believe you're asking me to do that because I know this person. But pretty ridiculous.
Well, as I think my mom said somewhere in the chat, a lot of things to pray for. I think that's we can all agree on that. I guess that's a good way to wrap up the. Oh, get out of here with the Patriots. Don't wrap. Hey, whoever you are, go away. Jeez, Matt, is that you? Is that you, Matt? No, that is the worst way to wrap up this podcast. They are good though, and actually, if they do win, we'll win a couple bucks because we did actually we liked the Patriots from the beginning of the year because we're geniuses.
That's right. I had Drake May on my fantasy football team, so it's not all bad.
Yeah, but no, Broncos are going to win. All right, yeah, get ready by prayer and Catholic action. That's a good way to end. Yes, that's absolutely true. And lead good lives, be charitable, and don't engage with Athenites. These are all very good lessons that we hope you guys have learned from this podcast today. We appreciate everyone who's stuck with us through the entire show, or those who joined us throughout. Thanks again to Mario Dirksen of NovaSortaWatch.org for joining, as well as Anthony Abate of Avoiding Babylon on YouTube. He was pretty short-lived, but it was nice of him to jump on.
Nice to have him on, yeah.
A few predictions. We hope to have him on, maybe with Father Geckle one of these days. That would be fantastic. We're trying to get that worked out. He actually mentioned coming on with Mario to talk about what did he say? That the passion of the church, I think is what how he described it. And he has a friend of his who is a supposed expert on the topic, which would be pretty interesting. So we hope to get those things going. And one more thing before we go, we have in the works approved. We're going to do a live Q&A with 2 nuns of the CMD, so the Congregation of the Mother of God. 2 nuns will be coming on the podcast soon to do a live question and answer, which will be pretty cool. So everyone can ask them what it's like to be a nun, and if you know anyone who perhaps has questions for a sister, or maybe has considered becoming a sister, this will be the perfect time to get your questions in. And I can guarantee you it will be fun and lively, and they're always some of the best shows. Whenever we have sisters on it, they are the best. So, but this will be live. This will be the first time we'll ever do that with His Excellency's permission, of course. That'll be coming here hopefully next week, but we're working on getting the time situated and stuff. And everyone, please too, let us know what kind of shows you like. Do you like these types of roundtable discussions? Do you like yes or no? We appreciate Molly for letting us know. That really does help us when you tell us what you like. Tell us what you want to see, because we do like hearing ourselves talk, but we also do want to make you guys happy too. Mostly we want to hear ourselves talk, but we do want to make our listeners happy. Anyway, God bless you all. Please like, share, subscribe. And Father, Dad, Eric, thank you guys for being here. We will see you next time.
God bless.